Welcome to the Pursuit Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of legal tech issues facing companies today. And today is a special day because we have released the Pursuit 50, the rankings of the most trusted firms on the Pursuit platform. And I have two great guests to talk about it today. We have Mr. Jordan Weinstein, the VP of Data and Growth. Hi, Jordan.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you for being here. And we have Maui Gevero, who's the senior manager for the legal advisory team here at Pursuit. Welcome to the show, Maui.
Hey, Chris. Thank you.
Let's actually take a step back here real quick. Jordan, can you just walk us through briefly for somebody who's new to sort of Pursuit, and this is their sort of first time coming in contact with it. What does Pursuit do, and how is it that we are interacting with these law firms and all the law firms that are on our platform?
Yeah, sure. So Pursuit primarily sells to large corporate legal departments. I think at this point we are approaching about 1/5 of the Fortune 500. These in-house teams use Pursuit primarily to move away from the billable hour. And from a large corporate perspective, it's basically bringing procurement best practices to the engagement of outside counsel. And so moving away from simply picking up the phone, calling the person at the law firm that you've always used, and saying, let's scope out this matter. Let's put a little bit more diligence behind the process here. Let's make it competitive, ensure we're spending our company's money wisely, and being able to justify our decisions and our buying decisions. And so those in-house teams are doing this hundreds of times. A new matter comes across their desk. They use Pursuit to scope it out by phase, by activity. They send it out to whoever they want, their trusted panel of firms. Those firms then choose to respond or not. When they do, they submit their proposals back, and in there we'll have things like pricing information, qualitative answers around strategies for success, and things like that, experience with a judge or opposing counsel. And then that in-house team gets to compare apples to apples, those 2, 3, 4, 5 proposals from their trusted panel, and pick on a much more sort of data-driven way.
What is the Pursuit 50, and how should readers or people who are interested in it use it?
Yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's exactly what you said. The Pursuit 50 is a reflection of the Pursuit marketplace. It's based on real-world buying decisions between our clients and the firms that they trust the most. We measure things like dollars awarded, repeat engagements, most innovative pricing models that are engaged on Pursuit through those AFA structures. And so it's a reflection of what happened in 2024, a little bit of the behavior that goes beyond the traditional metrics that you would expect from other rankings, like kind of reputation or firm size. So how readers should engage with it, essentially, it's kind of a practical guide to discover firms that clients are realistically using today and trusting to engage them on innovative pricing models and kind of a new way of how you would go out and procure outside counsel work.
Jordan, you work a lot like on the firm side. Is there something you can sort of add to that? Like what should firms out there, who are thinking about either alternative fee structures or whatever, how could they look at this list?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I talk to firms every day, multiple times a week. The thing about the Pursuit 50 that I like, and Maui touched on it, is it's very, when we first started doing this, I was really excited about providing something to the industry that was different than what is already out there. There's a number of other rankings or directory type of services out there, which are very much based on very subjective sort of criteria. And this is completely objective. And that's the part that excited me the most about doing it, right? Maui mentioned that the stats that we're using, none of these are sort of, references from your top clients. So this is just based on who they're picking, who they're inviting, who they're picking to do the work, and how does that look over time.
And so maybe we should take a step back here and sort of set the context for you. Can we give a sense, obviously maintaining data privacy and all of the things that we go to great lengths to protect here. But Maui, can you give us a sense of just how big the size and scope of this report is? Like, why is this a substantial work, and why is it something that people can pay attention to?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like we said, this is going to be data across the entire client base and those firms that our clients engage on the platform as of kind of 2024 is the year that we're looking at. And so that is billions of dollars of proposals, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of actual engagements that these clients are doing with these law firms across multiple practice areas, multiple industries, multiple matter types. So you're really capturing not just, the best litigation behavior or the best M&A behavior, you're capturing it across the full spectrum of kind of engagements and behaviors that these firms are have with their clients. And so that's the metrics and numbers you're going to see. You're going to see names that are familiar from, the AmLaw 10, 100, 50 law firms. You're going to see firms that you may not even know because they're regional, but they're powerhouses in terms of the work that they're doing for our clients. So that's really one of the other unique things about our list, is because it is based on that buying behavior from our clients, you get to kind of see a more real picture of who clients are engaging on a day-to-day basis with their work.
Okay, I want to touch in a little bit on what you said just a minute ago, because I think what you're seeing is, the ACC CLO survey that came out last month talked about that in-house legal teams, especially the larger your company is, are really facing cost-cutting measures, and they really have to sort of be able to become a value center with their legal spend. But what do you think are these findings in the Pursuit 50? Is there anything that says or reflects anything about the larger legal landscape that's happening right now?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing that I say you may take away from it is just how dynamic the Pursuit 50 rankings are. Because again, it reflects that discipline and that different way of approaching how you engage outside counsel, where it is a lot more value driven, a lot more client focused in terms of being there and showing up for the client, not just from a pricing perspective of how are you structuring the fees and what goes into those fees, but also like qualitative, right? Our clients also get information on who should be the best counsel, and they do that in a structured way across their firms. And so you see a bunch of movement in our rankings. You're never really seeing the same top 10 consistently over and over again. You're seeing firms move up 20 or 15 different ranks, and firms move down 20 or 15 different ranks. And so that is a reflection, again, of that buying behavior of firms going out and potentially engaging new law firms that they've never worked with before, or pushing more work to firms that they may have because now they've established a panel and they've built this discipline around how they actually kind of measure the value and understand the value of their firm. So that's the most stark pattern that you're going to see in our rankings year over year, if you've been following it, is essentially the list is consistently changing and constantly reflecting what's actually happening between our clients and their law firms.
Jordan, is there anything that stood out to you from this year's rankings?
Yeah, I mean, as Matt was talking, there's a couple of sort of points that we can highlight. There's only one firm in the past 2 years that has stayed in the top 5. And then I think, what did we have? I think we had 16 new firms in the top 50 this year compared to the year before. We highlight 10 of the top 10 of those in the report. So just, data to back up exactly what Maui said. This list is changing, and obviously, you're going to see a lot of the names you recognize, and some of them will be sort of where you expect them to be on, compared to other lists, and others won't. Others you'll be like, oh wow, they're way above or way below where you might expect them to be.
And sticking with you for a second, Jordan, Maui talked a little bit about what the Pursuit 50 says sort of about the legal landscape out there from sort of the client side, the company side, right? But you're out talking to law firms all the time, right? Is there anything that you're noticing as you look at these rankings, or as you're out talking with people and talking about moving to different fee structures, that you're noticing in sort of your broader talks with the industry?
Yeah, well, we're getting a lot more interest from sort of firms across the spectrum, large firms, smaller firms. On the larger firm side, there's a lot of sort of inbound requests around, which matter types, do we see trending up? Which types of practice areas, and things like that. And I think a lot of that is coming from the firm's desire to plan from a resourcing perspective. How big of do they need to grow their team? Responding to these proposals is not a small ask. It takes a lot of resources. And so on the smaller firms, they're wondering, okay, how can we make it more efficient so that we can compete with the larger firms? And the larger firms are really coming at it from a resourcing and staffing perspective.
Gotcha. Maui, I want to ask you real quick, why do you think it's important that we do this? Like, this is our 3rd year doing this, correct? And Yeah. So why is this something, how has this resonated with people? And why is it something that we put, because we put a lot of work into it, culling through the data, writing up the report. So why is this important for us to produce?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things that we definitely consider at Pursuit when we do these rankings every year. I think the top thing really is it is a bit of a celebration. It's a bit of a congratulations to the firms that went on the platform, embraced it, engaged with it, worked with their clients in this new way that clients are starting to think about outside counsel management, right? Like ultimately, these are the firms that not only worked through kind of the challenges potentially of a new way of working with their clients, but these are the firms that did it successfully. These are the ones that clients went back to and kept advising for this work. And so it's a bit of a celebration for that. And ultimately, it's also a bit of a kind of a feedback loop for us to check if, hey, are AFAs proliferating in the way that we want them to proliferate? Are we seeing more law firms entering into this kind of model of engaging with their clients? Are we seeing clients engage with a broader set of law firms, right? One of the behaviors that we like to encourage is this competitive tension, kind of increasing the transparency across the firms that you're engaging outside of the traditional model where it used to be, you would call a friend that you went to law school with or the former law firm of the GC of your organization potentially. We want to kind of see that behavior shift into, again, this value focus, this focus around client service and actually the relationship between you and your law firms. That's a more competitive and more open. So, that is a big reason for us to do this, is to spotlight and highlight the clients and the law firms that are doing this innovative work and doing it well.
Excellent. Jordan, speaking of a feedback loop, right? Like, how do we at Pursuit then take this information and help us shape how we sort of service both sides of the equation, both on sort of the company, the corporate side, the in-house side, and the external firm side?
Well, I guess, probably mostly unrelated to this report, this rankings report, my team's focused on the law firm experience as a whole. We are, and this was kind of a fairly new development. Ever since I joined Pursuit, I would say, we have kind of mostly ignored the firm experience, right? We have been here for our clients' benefit for the most part. I have about 20 years of experience at New York City law firms, and ever since joining, I've always had this back of my mind, like we need to do a lot more for the firms. The experience on the platform isn't as good as it can be, right? And we're already making a bunch of improvements there. We're starting to prioritize more there, and there's more sort of features and premium add-ons that we can offer them to help make both their experience better, help them win more business, help them be more competitive.
Got it. And Maui, how does this report play into sort of your the senior manager at the legal advisory team? What
Yeah.
does that mean? How do you use this report and sort of wrap it into your overall offering here at Pursuit and what we can offer?
Yeah, so definitely the legal advisory team, ultimately, we are the subject matter expertise side of the house. And our mission and our one goal is to take the knowledge and the learnings that we've seen from other clients, the industry, from professionals and the different folks that work in kind of this environment and share it across our client base. We want to get them to a point where they are optimizing the way they use Pursuit, they engage with outside counsel, their outside counsel program, and kind of their legal department operations, legal operations department as a whole. And so metrics like this just help us tell that story a lot better. It gives us kind of data-backed KPIs and measures to benchmark our clients against and introduce them to this whole new way of kind of doing work. So many of our clients, many of the folks that we talk to, this may be the first time that they've done a competitive bidding process, or they've done a reverse auction, which is a feature on the platform, or it's the first time they've done AFAs, right? So a lot of these experiences can be novel and unique depending on the maturity level of our clients. And so it helps to have something that is backed again by that data to present to them. So, one of the kind of trends that we're seeing this year that is likely to impact next year, right, is increasing rates and the kind of looming threat of generative AI and what it might do for work. And so we're going to integrate that, and we're probably going to see that impact the list next year of who's moving up and who's moving down. It's going to be the firms that are stepping away from that traditional hourly model and embracing alternative arrangements and alternative fee structures. And it's also going to be those firms that can really communicate the value beyond kind of just the AI solutions that are now becoming a little bit synonymous across these firms.
You took my next question, but that's great because I think it's really important to highlight, right? Which is what you're seeing already. We're only
Yep.
3 months into the new year, and you're already seeing how rates are going to impact next year's list, right? Rate hikes are going to impact next year's list. So that's something people listening and looking at the list can actually watch out for. As we close out here, Jordan, you mentioned that you do a lot of work with the firms and really are implementing that on the firm side on the Pursuit with Pursuit. What if people wanted to get, if people at a firm listening or looking at the report wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to connect with Pursuit?
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. Go to our website. Go to the team, the leadership page. My email's on there. Certainly reach out. You can reach out over support as well. Yeah, and any of those ways works.
Excellent. All right. So we will put a link in the show notes for people to go download this report. It's free. They can take a look at it. It's not just the top 50 firms. We also have like new firms that are new to the list, right? And those with a bigger footprint. So it's got a lot of actually really good information. It's also not going to take you a long time to read. So don't be scared that it's a report because you're going to be able to get through it really quickly. So visit PERSUIT.com. That's PERSUIT.com. And you'll see a link to download everything. Jordan Weinstein and Maui Gevero, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.